just stick with me. This analogy is important. So you do baseball and you're swinging a bat. What happens is as you load, you have to learn to load into the hip. As you step, what happens is as you make the turn, you have to position yourself to where you've loaded this leg where it's springy. And you don't really finish the spring on the step until you hit the ball, right? So what happens is you want to burst the spring through at the point of impact. If you step, transfer your weight, and then swing, it takes the load off of this leg. When you take the load off of this leg, it doesn't hit well. Well, strangely, it's kind of the same thing in martial arts. In traditional arts, not boxing stances, like traditional arts, there's a lot of styles that coil and uncoil. So what happens is when you go to move, as you shift, what happens is you don't just step, you step and you load that hip. So when you load that hip, it allows you to explode through your work. So you load and explode. If I'm like this and I want to load, I load back into the hip, and that allows me to explode through. Now, if I transfer my mass first, I've taken all the coil out of this leg, and there's no way for me to explode through the work. The majority of people I know that fight throw with their shoulders and their hips. So what they do is they just chuck like this, and that's okay. But it's not the same. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to feel the load in your hip, so you can bang forward and explode into the work. So when I come down and I load, I want to be able to load and go through him. And when you get good with this, you should be able to do this short. So if I load this way, I load back to this hip, and now I can load this way, right? Now I load back to this hip, and I can load again, swinging a bat. When you do this, it's so critically important that in your hip flexors, that you feel like it coils, like you should feel it right through there. And what you should also feel is you have spring in that leg, and that you could come forward. You should not feel like you're down on the ground flat like this, like in a cat stance, where like you have no spring to come forward. You have to take that mass and you have to center it. Where people fail this one is when you launch, there is a momentary come forward with your upper body. Because if you were going to sprint, right, you wouldn't sprint from it like this. You'd get down and you would run. If I'm going to burst forward, what happens is I might be like this, but as I go this, I got to get down a little bit like this, and I have to coil, and that allows me to explode through when I do my work. So first you have to feel the load of the hip. You have to feel the load of the leg. But then the important part is you have to feel where the mass is. If you have too much weight forward, your leg will be stuck to the ground. You won't be able to pick it up. So what you want to do is you want to feel the load, but you got to bring your mass back just a little bit so you can pick this foot up. So what happens is I'm here, and now I can go. As I land, I should be here and I can go. And this allows me to move quickly and with good footwork and in good balance. It allows me to kick. And instead of me just swinging with hip, what happens now is I'm a projectile, right? I'm not trying to like muscle through this. I'm literally trying to take all my mass and explode through my target. And you need that pop and that explosion to do it. But that only works if you're loaded heavy and your mass is right where you can move your feet properly. So when you do this, it's important that you practice this. You sit and you want it. I'm overdoing it. As you get better with this, it can be smaller. It doesn't have to be so big. But for new people, it's better to kind of feel how this loads into the hip. And it can pop. You load and you pop. Load and pop. And you load into it and you feel where the foot is and how you can go forward. Go forward. And feel where your mass is. Try it. If you come forward like this and try this, you can't. Because you can't pick the foot up. You got to come back, set your mass, have it loaded, and have that ability to pick that foot up and go. And it will give you really quick feet, and it will allow you to explode through a target really quickly and precisely. Please check out my new channel, The Karate Man. Link is below, and as always, thanks for watching.